James Yancey, better known as J Dilla or a rapper named JD, was born in Detroit, Michigan, February 7, 1974. He did so many projects with so many artists. To name a few, we have De La Soul, of course the Yancey Brothers, The Tribe Called Quest, The Roots, so many different people, so many different remixes, so many different songs that he's done has landed him my spot on being a top producer in my eyes. One thing I learned about J Dilla is that he was doing music way before anybody would even think. He was actually doing music as a child. His mom was a great opera singer, his dad was a jazz bassist, so they really forced him to get into the music scene. And what made it even better is the fact that he was trained to play so many different instruments. Cello, you have the keyboard, you have the trumpet, he could play the violin, but he really wanted to perfect drums. That's something he really wanted to take further and go to the next level with. He wanted to take basic tracks, and because the drum kits were maybe EQ different or affected different, it's made the track sound a lot more live, a lot more different, sometimes weary, or just made people feel the emotions of the drum kit throughout the track. And I think that's what really helped him out, you know, as a kid, was learning how to do so many good things at such a young age. J Dilla's early studio setup was really not too extensive, too extraordinary. He really just used a lot of tape deck and a lot of just normal recording equipment, microphones, preamps, stuff like that. And he really said that he really tried to emulate and imitate the great Pete Rock, so I'm pretty sure that was pretty cool later on down in his career, knowing that he had worked so hard to emulate and imitate someone to actually finally get to a pinnacle of where he could meet someone as great as Pete Rock and actually be in the same conversations as a hip-hop legend producer as Pete Rock. In 1992 was his first actual time really getting into a studio environment using professional things to make music. He actually met up with a guy named Amp Fiddler. Amp Fiddler pretty much taught him the ropes on how to produce, how to be industry standard, and actually lent him his first MPC to use to start making beats on. So I can honestly say the mentor of Amp Fiddler to J Dilla really brightened J Dilla's industry standard and his way of making music and made him a better producer. In the 1990s, I would say about mid-1990s, J Dilla signed as the first ever hip-hop group to a Detroit label. It was him and a MC named MC Fat Cat. These guys signed to a Detroit label under the group name First Down. It was pretty big what they did. Even though it only lasted for one album and pretty much 1 year, that album itself was very legendary. In the mid-1990s, J Dilla decided to go with his old classmates by, of course, T3 and Batten. These guys came together years later after having a group in high school to finally put together a real full-fledged album for their group Slum Village. The album was called Fantastic. It was a great album, came out in 1997. They had been working on this album for a good year or so it was great to see that he could rejoin his classmates and put together such a good album as well. And what's honest is, during the later 1990s, early 2000s, J Dilla was really dipping into this whole remixing and producing singles for certain artists and having fun. And that's what he really got notable for his crazy, outrageous remixes of a industry standard pop song. He worked with so many greats. I can name a few, like he worked with Q-Tip, he worked with the great Janet Jackson, he also worked with the great Busta Rhymes and Common Sense, later to be known as Common. As time went on, J Dilla decided that he would go ahead and try to go and do this solo thing, and it kind of worked, but it didn't work because he signed to a label called Stone Throws record label, where he ended up soon helped produce with the likes of Madlib. Him and Madlib made so many tracks, put out so many tracks, did some shows. They decided, hey, why not just go ahead and do a full-fledged album? You know, forming a group actually called J-Lib. So his solo career didn't go too far as him doing projects by himself, but he did end up still making better music. So much that these guys later dropped one of Jay Dilla's best albums of all time on February 7th, 2006, to be exact, on his 32nd birthday. They dropped the Donuts album, which hit so many wave streams, so many people loved it, so many people accepted it. It's sad that the death of Jay Dilla really came quicker than what we as hip-hop people want to hear. He ended up being on the dialysis machine doing certain concerts while he was in a wheelchair, all because he had a rare blood disease, lupus.